Hello my dears, welcome back to Let It Cook, the cooking channel. Today we're making an absolute Bavarian classic, a grilled pork knuckle. For this, we need a bottle of beer, Augustiner of course, salt, caraway seeds, a bit of soup vegetable mix, garlic, bay leaf, juniper berries, an onion, and of course a pork knuckle. First, we need to pre-cook the pork knuckle a bit. There are two different ways. You can either steam it a little or you can go ahead and roast it right away. In my experience, it doesn't get as tender that way, so I prefer to pre-cook it. That's why I'm going to score it a bit beforehand. I have a utility knife here, which I've washed thoroughly and snapped off the tip, so there's a new fresh blade. And I always do it so that I let just a tiny bit of the blade stick out of the utility knife. Yeah, just like that, and now I'm scoring the pork knuckle right on the top surface. Make them big, not as fine as with roast pork, and score them. I just cut a bit here and not all the way through the crust, yeah. I don't want the crust to burst open too much later on. I want it to hold together pretty well after grilling, but I do want the fat to come out nicely. Now I just cut around here like this. You can do it however you like. Like this. This is a pork knuckle from a straw-raised pig. I was lucky this time since I didn't buy this one from my usual butcher. Of course, that's something special, but a regular one will do just fine too. There. Okay. We need to, well, I'd say with this size, cook them for about 1 hour, 20 minutes, 1.5 hours, something like that, and then they're done. I'll show you that then. Okay. Now we put it in the pot, add water until it's covered. Now you can just add a clove of garlic, give it a little crush. If you want to have a nice Let It Cook cooking channel knife like this, there's a link up here. Just check it out. Now, I want to take a moment to thank all the subscribers who support me every month. That's really kind of you. Thank you very much. If you're interested, there's a little link down below. You can become a channel member there. I would be really happy if a few more people joined in. That would help the channel a bit and support us. Now add the garlic, add the bay leaf and a bit of juniper. Then add some celery root. You can leave the skin on if you want. Not too much. Just so it has a bit of flavor. We'll need the onion later for the sauce. We'll leave it out for now. Then a bit of carrot into the water. A bit of leek. Okay. Now we bring the whole thing to a boil and let it simmer for 1.5 hours on medium heat. So, not a rolling boil, just a gentle simmer. Let it cook nicely. Add a pinch of salt. Sorry, I forgot that. A pinch of salt and a bit of caraway. That's always good with pork. It makes it much easier to digest. And now, as I said, let it cook. About 1.5 hours, let it simmer gently for 1 hour and 20 minutes to 1.5 hours. Then I'll show you how it looks. You might already see the pork knuckle back there. I've already lifted it out of the water a bit. I let it roast, or rather cook for 1 hour and 20 minutes, of course. Now I've heated up a bit of clarified butter here. You don't necessarily have to sauté it, but you can if you want. Just add 2 onions now. I'll make a little sauce to go with it now. Yeah. There. Since the onions will be taken out later, it doesn't matter how you cut them. Yeah, how big you cut them. There. When making pork roast, roast pork gravy, or pork knuckle gravy in general, don't use too many roasted vegetables. That's my little tip. You can add a little bit, it doesn't hurt, but not too much or the flavor will get too intense. Just a little bit plus a clove of garlic. We'll let that fry for a moment, and in the meantime, I'll show you the pork knuckle. This is what it looks like now. Really nice. And now you just go ahead and salt it while it's still wet or damp from the water. That way the salt sticks to it really well. Yeah. Very nice. From all sides. A little salt on the bottom won't hurt. I'll add a little pepper to the underside too. The salt always blows away because of my fan. Don't be surprised, I can generally add a bit of pepper now. That's white pepper, it's not so bad. So that. vegetable scraps and things like that, always put them in the soup. I have this pork knuckle stock back here. Of course, you don't throw that away. That's the perfect base for example, a ramen soup or any other kind of soup. So definitely don't throw it away. Reduce it down, put it in a bag, freeze it, label it. If you ever want to make an Asian style soup, you've already got a great base stock. So never throw something like that away. That would be an absolute sin. And now really brown it properly so that the sauce also gets a nice color. You can also easily add a dark beer. That way you'll already have a really nice color in the sauce. Be careful, dark beer can be bitter depending on the type. Last time I used one, the sauce was a bit bitter, which I didn't like. That's why I'm using a Helles Lager again today. Augustiner beer, you're my neighbors. I've said it 100 times. When will the sponsorship happen? What's going on? How many more times do I need to ask? Do free advertising for you and I still don't get any sponsorship. I'd say go to Augustiner's page and tag my videos under there a bit so that they finally give me an unlimited supply of beer. That would be the least they could do for all the advertising. I'm just kidding, guys. It also works great in a roasting pan. But what I really like to do, and this is very practical with these Hoffman pans, is that you can remove the handle, so I can do everything right in the pan. I just put it in there, take off the handle and let it cook. Get it nice and crispy. Depending on the pork knuckle, it takes about 30, 35, maybe 40 minutes. You can already see it. When the crust has really popped open and is nice and crispy, then you can take it out. If it has a nice color, just pour the beer over it. Carefully. It can splatter because of the fat, of course, so be a little careful. You can let it come to a boil once, that doesn't hurt at all. Now you put the pork knuckles into the sauce. Here's a little tip. You can take a piece of potato and put it in the pan, into the broth, and place the pork knuckles on top of it. What we don't want is for the crust to be in the water or in the broth. You can see here now the entire crust is on top and the broth is underneath. That means all the juice that comes out will become really flavorful and go into the broth, but our crust can get really nice and crispy. Now let's put it in the oven and I'll show you when it's done. So my friends, here it is. If that doesn't look amazing, I don't know what does. Take a look. Do you hear that? It's turned out very nice and crispy. It was in there for about 40 minutes. At 180 degrees for 35 to 40 minutes, then I turned on the broil setting and used a meat fork to turn it a bit so the grill heat could reach everywhere. The popped parts make the crust really soft. Because we cooked it beforehand, the crust is also really soft, but I'll show you that in a moment. Now we'll cut through the middle. And now take a look here, see how beautiful it looks. Guys, what do you think? A dream? And now it's a bit mean, I admit, but someone has to try it. You can hear it didn't turn out too bad, right? What do you think? That's how a pork knuckle should sound. That's especially how it should taste. Try out the recipe and have a lot of fun with it. We'll see you again next week, my dears. Take care, enjoy yourselves, bye, see you.